I've stopped in the middle of a design to kind of show you what to do if something totally goes wrong. Whether it stopped stitching, you broke a thread, and then you ended up here, and now you have to go back and kind of complete the stitches where it had not stitched. Do not fear. On this machine, you have the ability at any given time to go back or forth any particular amount of stitches and not have to worry about where you were. The machine always remembers the location of the stitch, even if you had to turn it off and turn it back on. Now, yes, I have moved this design to the lower part of my hoop, so I'd want to know what those numbers were that I moved it to, and if you'd wrote those down before you got started, you would have a return location after the machine is turned off and then reset. So I'm going to go ahead and pretend that I'm a few stitches ahead of where I was. And I'm going to go ahead and just do the plus. So I'm somewhere out in a new left field here, and that's where the machine stopped, for example. Now down here you do have a stitch count, kind of shows you where you were, and possibly if you were within a certain range, you can go forward or back. So this right here will get you back or forth stitch by stitch. So when you go minus, see how it's just going back, stitch by stitch. Now you will not know exactly where you were until you maybe turn the hand wheel and tip the needle down. But here's my biggest tip. When you go back and you're looking for kind of like, oh wait, I think I've already stitched that area, it's okay to re-stitch over a small section that's already been stitched. I guarantee that 2 layers of thread is not going to be noticeable once your design is done. You definitely don't want to have a little gap, so you want to make sure you always go back far enough and be able to do it. In a pinch, I have even had to go all the way back to the very first stitch and then just stitch the whole thing over again. That doesn't, it's not often I would do the whole design area, like this is halfway stitched, but I could if I needed to. Maybe you had some bobbin thread showing and you're like, oh no, you could just re-stitch over that area. It will sound a little louder just because there's already stitches and there's a lot of layers already. It's not going to harm the machine at all. The needle's just punching through what it's already done, and that is an option as well. So I'm going to go ahead, let's see here, now that I've talked my way through this, let me see. I'm going to go back a little bit. I can kind of see I'm still kind of in that area. Nope. So keeping in mind that actually there's a few times where stitches go back and forth more than once. So make sure you really have actually gone back far enough. And I could see that it actually had traveled through this middle, and now I'm back to where it was kind of doing these little feather stitches. So I'm going to start right about there. You can go ahead, touch the start button, and see that you are stitching over a few stitches, and it's really not that hard, but just make sure you don't freak out and know that you can get back to where you started, get everything rethreaded, put a bobbin in, clean something, put a new needle in, and it knows exactly where it is within the design.